We are on mute, guys, and so we don't want to be talking backstage and kind of everybody confused. So, but man, holy cow! Check out that Parapost commercial. That was fabulous. Hats off to Robert Humphreys over there, PD Region Paranormal, and the Parafam Studios. That was an awesome commercial. I hope Brian Laverty liked that. I know I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm sure everybody else will love it too. But man, it's been a long week there, Drew. Haven't seen you since last week, man. So real quick, what's going on, man? You've worked and everything else, and I heard you guys had an investigation here the other night. What happened with that? How's that looking?
Well, I didn't get to go last night for the investigation that they had. I had other things I had to do, but I mean, yeah, it's been a long week, a lot of work. Just got off work about 2 hours ago.
And check you out. You're right here at the podcast.
Yeah.
Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Yeah, it's been a long week for me. We've been dealing with a lot of videos and a lot of things going on, getting some podcast stuff straight. So it's been a pretty long week for us as well. But man, so tonight, part one, Edinburgh Castle, right?
Yeah.
That big rocky place across the pond over there. Let's get in those boats and shift up to the banks and get out of those boats and check it out. What do you think?
Sounds good.
So Edinburgh Castle, man, you've got a lot of facts going on here. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. So Edinburgh Castle, when did Edinburgh Castle come to be, man? When did that erect up from that big rock it sits on?
Well, the first time it was referenced that there was a castle, anything other than a fort, was back in 1093. Was the first time it's been referenced as. I couldn't find the exact date, but that was kind of like the earliest they said that it was there.
Yeah, they've got reference points, I understand. Not necessarily anything ironclad in dates. And what they're using for the dates is the people actually reporting and referencing it in some of the literature they wrote and being able to correspond that literature with the time frame that they would have been around. I don't think they actually have an exact year or whatever. It's just a time frame. Somewhere in the 11th century, though, definitely, I think, is when that was erected.
Yeah, kind of before that, they would use it kind of as like military bases and stuff like that before the castle was there.
Now, that rock hasn't always been there either, has it?
No. It was formed from a volcano that erupted. It was like over 340 million years ago is what it's kind of referenced as.
Right. And then they started erecting what we used to call back then. They called them wooden fortresses or wooden castles back then. Before they got into stone making and all that. But that was a really good militaristic vantage point, even for the wooden fortresses they had. So that was pretty good stuff.
Yeah, because you basically had the high ground whenever you had that fort. So
yeah, whoever holds the high ground pretty much has the vantage point, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk about a little haunted stuff going on there. So there's quite a bit of claim over there, man. It's like one of the most haunted places in Scotland, isn't it?
Yes, considered one of, if not one of them. Well, not the most haunted over there, but it's definitely considered the most haunted castle.
So what are some of the claims in there?
See, there's been many haunts they've had. I mean, anything from, a lot of people have sudden temperature drops that happen. I mean, you can see shadow figures all the time there. I mean, some people even feel like their skin can be burning at times, which can coincide with what we're going to talk about a little bit later. You also had the feeling like you're being watched all the time too, and your clothes get tugged, stuff like that too. That's the major claims that they have there.
Nice. So talking about what we're going to talk about later. So what is that subject?
What we're going to talk about later is Janet Douglas, which is one of the people that they say haunt the castle.
Lady Glamis herself. Huh. Now she was actually executed there. What they called Castle Hill or Castle Rock back in 1537, wasn't she?
Yeah. She was burned at the stake.
Burned at the stake. Well, that's what they did to witches, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, wasn't she?
They thought were witches, basically.
What? Right. Wasn't she of nobility, though? I mean, how does that come to be?
Yeah. Well, with her, basically, she got on the wrong side of someone not liking their family. Basically, is what it was. And that person ended up was King James V.
King James V.
Yeah.
So wow, that's interesting. King James V. He was Man, he was kind of in prison for the most of his childhood, wasn't he? Before he came up to take the throne of Scotland.
Yeah, he was for almost all his childhood, if not all of it. And he was imprisoned by basically his stepfather, which was basically it was Janet's brother, and that's kind of where the whole thing started.
I can see the hatred, man. You locked me up from my childhood like that, and I'd be pretty angry at my stepfather for that. So I guess I
Yeah,
can kind of see his mentality and how that would kind of make him go loopy, you know. Um, so yeah, I can see how that would come up. So has anybody seen Janet in the castle anywhere on the grounds? Have they seen her?
yeah. There's been people that have said they've seen her there and at another castle that she was at, which was the castle that she had.
That's that. Now that's Glamis Castle, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha. So this some of the feelings that people get, like their skin's burning, it kind of makes sense now as to why they would get that sensation with Janet being burned at the stake and apparently being accused of witchcraft. Is there anything else she was accused of, or is it just witchcraft? I heard
I
something
mean,
about she was accused of something else.
well, I mean, the main thing was witchcraft, but then they tried to say that she cooked up a potion to try to poison the king. Also, was the other thing that he said.
Oh, let's put the mustard on the sandwich, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay, so we can't get it for one thing. We'll definitely get it for the other, right?
yeah,
Okay. Well, we see that going on all over the place today. So times hasn't really changed that much even from back then, right?
no,
Cool, cool. So, man, what do you think? I think going to Edinburgh Castle to check that out. I'd like to see if I could catch Janet myself. You know,
yeah.
I mean, would I wonder if you would see her like actually kind of suspended in air, like she would be tied to a stake or something. I wonder if that would be the case. You think sometimes that could happen?
It's possible. I mean, a lot of people that have seen her see her walk around the castle, but you may see her in that form also.
Man, what a way to go! What a way to go!
Yeah,
And now her son, um, which actually later on, I think after King James passed away, he was he was restored his title and all of that from the next ruler.
yeah,
So, you know, um, I believe he actually witnessed her execution, didn't he?
yeah. He was, I think, 16 years old at the time, and he was locked up with her also, and he was forced to watch basically from the dungeon he was at.
Wow, that I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah,
So let me take a couple minutes here and shout out some comments we got here. Marcus Wells, Minnesota Spirit Hunters. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you, buddy. And we got Melissa Harding. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. Sherry, our very own Sherry. Sherry is one of the investigators on the Phoenix team here in Arizona. And we have Jeffrey Warren Collins. What up, Tank? What's going on? We have Tiffany. There's my daughter. That's my baby girl right there. So, yep, that's your family right there, Andrew. So that's one of your cousins. And we got Parapost here. Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight? Hey, we're doing good. I'm pretty excited about this one. We got some things coming up to show you guys, some things to share. So, I'm really stoked for that. Um, what's the activity in the castle? So, all right, we'll kind of get off the subject just a little bit, just for a minute here, kind of appease the viewers uh, from Lady Glamis here. Is there any other activity in the castle that is going on, or does it really all center around uh, Janet Douglas?
I mean, the major claims that I could find were the ones we've already went over, which some of it could be from anything really, like the temperature drops could be for anything. I mean, shadow figures, it may not all be her. And you have somebody feel like you're being watched and stuff like that too. That could be pretty much any of them. I mean, there's several other, so much history at the place, you never really know what the actual hauntings are.
Gotcha. And the next comment comes in from Parapost Network Central. and it says, "This is Brian James, by the way." Yeah, man, you got me. I would have never figured that out, Brian. But it's glad to see you, buddy, and thanks for your questions. And Jody and Robert says, "Hello, new to the group. Welcome to the group, and I hope we can give you some information." All right. So, real quick. So, Global United Paranormal Foundation, teaming up with PD Region Paranormal over there, Andrew. We are trying to help a friend of ours out. His daughter's kind of in a bad way. Things don't look good for her. Her name is Shar. She's 13 years old. And for those of you who don't know who Cassidy Lightwing is, he is our producer for Bleeding Violence Studios. And that is her father. She's in a hospital currently right now, really fighting for every bit of life she can hang on to. I don't want to go into too many details, but we are helping Cassidy Lightwing and his daughter fulfill one of her dreams. And what she wants to do is develop a foundation that raises funds for children that are going through the same things that she is, and help the families cope with the things that come with it. And what we've done is we've called this the Charlotte Foundation. And we've got a little video that we're going to play for you guys. So sit back and enjoy the video, and think of Char and give her a couple prayers while you're watching, guys. That's it, folks. The Charlotte Foundation. We'll be developing this and bringing it out in the upcoming weeks, and there'll be more information on that as it comes out. So, what else can you tell us about Edinburgh Castle there, Drew?
See, and basically with Castle, there were always fights for the castle between Scots and Brits, because it was basically, if you got the castle, you basically run Edinburgh and you run to all of Scotland.
Yeah, that was kind of the epicenter back there for Scotland, wasn't it?
Yeah. Between basically where it sat really helped all that, because if you basically where it sits, nobody can hardly get you.
Yeah.
You got the high ground.
It's a very good strategy move, I'll tell you. Cool, man. Cool. So, when are we going to Scotland, man?
Hey, I'm down whenever.
I think we need to get with Robert and B and with Brian James and see when we're going to go out there and investigate that place. I know Brian would be stoked, man.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, most of the places we'd go, we'd have to look at either Tank or Brian to, kind of be our security venture there. But, I don't think we're going to have too many problems at Edinburgh Castle.
No.
That's for sure, man. So, going back to Lady Glamis. So, did she go on to have any more kids? How many kids did she have? Do you remember?
She had, let me see. I can't remember exactly how many they were. I got it right here though. She had 6 kids, I think it was. Yeah.
I know that she had 2 daughters that King James had sent away after Lady Glamis' execution at the stake. He'd sent 2 of the daughters away to basically prevent them from reproducing. That way he could put a stop to the family name, which is why he imprisoned the boys as well, so that they couldn't go out and create spawns.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, before they were actually able to carry out that execution of the sons, he subsequently had passed away. And thereafter, they were released from the prison and given back their titles and reinstated.
Yeah, and then they also had her second husband was imprisoned with her also, but he escaped. But then he was later caught and killed also.
Oh wow, wow, yeah. So she had some pretty bad luck, didn't she?
Yeah, and from everything I've read, nobody had anything bad to say about her. She was always had a great personality. She was always upbeat. Everybody loved her.
In fact, that actually caused a major uprising at her execution, did it not? There was a lot of
Yeah,
backlash from the general public because she was
yeah,
very well liked in Edinburgh.
yeah. I mean, they had like almost riots where they were trying to get to the guards. People were trying to actually pull her off the stake at the time when she was burning and everything else too.
Yeah, wow, that must have been a scene and a half, man.
Yeah, but the thing was, she was as calm as she could be on the stake. There was no, she was quiet and just laid back. No, no screaming, no nothing.
So she was calm and laid back. So, I just don't understand why her spirit would actually be there, and kind of, I got to go through this in my head, the king didn't succeed in banishing the name because obviously the boys lived thereafter and they were reinstated. So he didn't succeed at that, unfortunately for him.
Yeah,
She was very calm at the stake. Maybe perhaps she knew something that maybe somebody else didn't.
yeah,
I don't know, but it just wouldn't make a lot of sense why you would experience her spirit there. But as I always say, they say it's the most haunted castle in Scotland, but I've never been there. I can't really tell you for sure. I can't tell you it's haunted or not.
yeah.
So I you know,
And then with the way hauntings are, you don't know if they're stuck there, if they're there, if they're just they go back and forth between certain places, or if they're in a different time frame. You don't know what is going on with them. So
well, and they averaged burning or burning at the stake once every month for almost 250 years.
yeah,
So let's think about this reasonably. Okay, you're feeling burning skin, right? You can't necessarily be able to just by that alone narrow that down to Lady Glamis, because the problem with that is there's too many of them. There was over 2,000 over the course of 250 years that were burned at the stake. Which one
yeah,
could it be? Take your pick.
yeah. Because Edinburgh was named like the burning capital of Europe for a while too during all that.
That's right. That's right. So you can't really blame that on solely, Janet Douglas, because you don't really know that for sure. I mean, unless you've got, some kind of a major EVP that's screaming what her name was as she's burning at the stake. Well, you really don't know. So let's see, what do we have? Okay, let's go through some more here. Got some more comments going on. Let's see. Jody says prayers. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Parapost Network. That was the most beautiful videos I've ever seen. Eldon McInville Sr. Please don't give me all the credit. Let me tell you what, I've got nothing on my cousin over there, Robert Humphreys. Let me tell you something. Robert, he started playing with videos about a month ago, and he has shocked me. He has shocked all of our colleagues. And as our other brother over there, Brian Horton, would say, he is shocking the system with what he's doing with these videos, man. This is the stuff he's been able to do in just a month's time, and he's doing a good job at it. So hats off to him, and that's where it goes, man. Aaron, hello. How you doing? And let's see here. We got another one from Parapost Network. Thank you. Shars Foundation means a lot to us. Absolutely. Means a lot to us too. And Tiff again. Hey, y'all. Hello again. So cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and regroup on some more information here for you guys. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and play some commercials and hear from our sponsors. So sit back and grab some popcorn, grab some chips, take a little break, what you need, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes here, guys. All right, so that was a quick one there. Wanted to get back at it was what we wanted to do. So do you know of any other castles in the area that may have been support castles to Edinburgh, or maybe like supply warehouses, or kind of like what we'd have in today's age, where you got supply depots?
I didn't really see anything. Were you able to find anything at all?
I was, and I actually looked, and it almost seems to me, and I don't live in Scotland. I couldn't tell you a whole lot about that, but it seems to me by what I'm looking at is each each area was, or each castle was kind of its own thing,
Yeah.
but in support of one another militaristically, if that makes any sense, not necessarily logistically.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's hard to say, man. I mean, I'm quite sure they had some kind of a supply deal going somehow, but supply back then wasn't like it is today either. So they did, local bartering and trade between each other, and it was local routes. So, and they relied a lot on their own little kingdom right there around the castle. They relied a lot on that too.
Yeah.
So,
Which, as much as the thing changed hands, you didn't really have much time to really do any of that.
mm-mm, mm-mm. No, absolutely not. So, um, yeah, it I look back at I've got this thing on my head, Andrew, this whole burning at the stake thing, man. I can't even get that out of my head. I mean, holy man, that's just nuts.
It's
How
like one of the
somebody,
worst ways to live, worst ways to die, really.
I know, and that's what I'm thinking in my head, going, man, God. And I know about the Salem witch trials here in the States. I've heard about that, and I know they've had that go on back in the UK. Um, but it's not something you hear a lot about with somebody of nobility.
Yeah.
So that's what makes this so unique. And the fact that, King James V tried to completely wipe out the Douglases, which he had a very, very big hatred for, and he wasn't successful in doing that. Um, like you said, maybe he was remorseful there at the end, I think,
Yeah.
and feeling remorse for his actions. But I would think at the time that he did that, why didn't he just wipe him out there? I mean, why did he just imprison him and wait? So makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It shows back then you could pretty much, if you were the king, you could do pretty much anything.
Yeah, yeah, and wasn't there a lot of religious influence in that as well? I mean, what didn't the kings and queens and people of nobility do their actions and claim it to be of religious agreements?
Yeah. Most of them did.
Yeah, that's what I thought, man. It's like, wow, not in today's age here, huh?
No.
Wow. So, what else you got for me? Anything else?
Well, I know with King James, whenever he was basically trying to convict her, he had no evidence whatsoever. So how he got his evidence is he went to Glamis Castle, went to all the clansmen for the Douglases, all their servants, and basically tortured them on the rack until they would give up false information and false confessions so that they can imprison her.
So they just basically developed evidence to what they did.
Yeah. And after they imprisoned her, they basically confiscated Glamis Castle for the king.
Wow. So Wow. So Janet Douglas, aka Lady Glamis, she had a son, Sir John Lyon,
Yeah.
um, and he was 16 years old when he witnessed his mother's death. And he later was released and was given his title back. Do we know whatever happened to him?
I couldn't find a whole lot overall after that, for what I could find.
Yeah, because there's a lot of lions going on, and if you look in the history of England, there's a lot of lions in nobility bloodline too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just imagine you seeing your mom die like that, and then you get in prison for most of your life, or a good portion of your life.
Yeah, I did read an article on it, and the whole scene. If you could put yourself in the middle of that courtyard during the burning at that stake, and the public there, and they were in a what you can call a riot, really. Um, they're grabbing at the guards' boots. They're trying to tear them, shred to shred and limb to limb, just trying to get at that stake to get Lady Glamis off of that stake. I mean, and then I wonder, do people actually make it up to her? And just could you imagine? Not only are you being burned, but people are pulling at you, and we just don't want to get in all that.
Yeah, I think I read that there was some of them that, as they were trying to grab her, that the guards were beating them with like bats and different stuff, trying to get them away.
Wow. Well, I guess that would be a good reason to hunting the castle, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe kind of give it, maybe some backlash or something.
Try to make people not forget what happened, basically. Also.
Yep. So we got a couple more comments, and I'm going to bring them out. So we got Mr. Robert Humphreys. What's up, my man? He says, so the king gets his way by any means.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. Next topic. We're not going to go all the way into details there. Let's see. Millie Marks. Hey, that's my sister right there. I'm going to have to rewatch this. Just now was able to get on here. So, yeah, just the hair lost. But I'll catch up. Okay, cool. Catch up later on. And Robert Humphreys. Justice back then basically boiled down to whatever the king wanted, rather it was right or wrong. Yeah, that's
Yeah. They should rule with an iron fist, pretty much.
what do they say? So saith the king, right?
Yeah.
Who can argue that? And if you do, well, there's a pretty good dungeon in store for you. And we got Parapost Network Central says, does your family have any ties to any royalty? Next question. Any ties? Yes. Any bloodline? Yes. The McInvilles has bloodline going back to King Macbeth of Scotland, if you know who that is. But we are tied to King Macbeth. Now, crazy as it sounds, there's really no relation between King James that we're discussing right now, King James V, because back then the country was divided into kingdoms, and you'd have kings of kingdoms.
Yeah.
And, King Macbeth was with one. You had, King James, his line was with another, and that's how that was all divided back then, which is they kind of have the same system today almost, but they call them clans today, not necessarily kingdoms.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, and one more. Sorry, accidentally hit the laugh button. Didn't mean to. Okay, no problem. You are forgiven. And yes, really, you are forgiven. Let's see. King Phenomenal One. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. I appreciate that. Don't you appreciate that, Drew?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take a compliment where we can get it, right? that was pretty bad, man. That was good. I had to do it twice, right? Yeah, bad joke, guys. So anyway, let's see. Let's see here. Let's go and put this up here. I actually do know of Macbeth, and that's awesome. You have royalty in your family tree. I think we all really have royalty in our family tree somewhere or another. We're all going to descend from some type of royalty somewhere. Every one of us, you know. So it's just the way it is, you know. But yes, us we go back to the McInvilles and Macmillans. Specifically, we go back to King Macbeth, which yes, we know the famous Macbeth. Yes, we are related to Macbeth. Yes, really, we are related to Macbeth. Let's see. That's what the really was about. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So she said really, and I'm like, yes, really. So now I know what she meant by really. Really, we're related to Macbeth. So yes, really. What do you know about Macbeth, Drew?
I don't know a lot other than what little I've found out about in like history, and of course Macbeth that everybody knows about. So
Well, now you know you got to research a little bit more about Macbeth, don't you? Now that you know that
yeah,
it's one of your ancestors, right?
yeah.
I'll leave the good stuff for you to research. I know some of the good stuff. So, but that's okay. We'll hold that for a private conversation. Some things people don't need to know. You know how some families have skeletons in closets? Well,
Yeah.
we're no different. We got skeletons too. Some people have more than others, and not saying anything special, but it's just the way it is. So, let's see here. Wow, we got a lot going on from Millie over here. Let's see, she's laughing really, really hard. Don't do that here. Not on our time. You want to die? Go to your bedroom. Go somewhere else. But don't do it on the McInville show. Okay, not here. Let's see. Totally, yes, totally. And Robert Humphrey says new Macbeth episode. Really? That's hey, Macbeth. That's
Yeah,
a
that's
good
a big
idea.
one. Yeah.
Man, that kind of like hit a light bulb right here. It's kind of like it's almost like I've got Robert right behind me, man, going, "Hey, go ahead, idea," you know. Let's see. What's that? Is that a pick me? I don't know what that is. Let's see. Oh, hi again. Hello. Wow, got some crazy stuff going on in this podcast. So, yeah, I think that would be a really cool show, though, Macbeth.
Yeah, it would.
We need to really get that tied in, and see if there might be some. Let's research where he's actually from over there, and see if we can dig into some of those areas. Because I really like to dive in to see if there's something haunted over there. Maybe we can pick him up or something.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Probably is.
Well, it might be something we can also cover in next week's topic, which is Castle Swing.
Yeah.
So Castle Swing would be great. So that would be a good place to start there. So, somebody's creeping in on me. So, but yeah, Castle Swing next week will be our topic, most definitely. And I think that'll be a good one. It's that one. There's going to be more of a historic kind of podcast, more than a haunted kind of a podcast, a paranormal podcast.
Yeah, which a lot of this can be a lot of history that we're going to be doing.
Gotcha. And you can ask the personal experience question that you had anytime you want. So blurt it out if you'd like, and we can answer best we can. And if we can't, I'm sure we got people watching that can answer.
Yeah.
So there will be a part to the Edinburgh Castle because we're going to dive more into, some of the other claims and things there because there's so much going on with Edinburgh Castle that I'm hearing claims about that. You get one topic and it's like diving into a rabbit hole and you just dig more information and there's more information after that. But it's one of those things, again, like we see all the time in the paranormal. Once you're diving in to get an answer for one thing, you get
a bunch more.
You get a bunch more questions, and that's what's happening here. Same thing with Edinburgh. It's no different. You're getting more questions than you're getting answers.
Yeah, there's way too much stuff for probably 2 or 3 episodes.
Right. So, okay, so here we go. Millie says, okay, so I had a voice lean over my shoulder at the Missouri State Pen. Okay. A loud voice, it was caught. So a loud voice, it was caught on camera, even from like 15 feet away. Okay.
Yeah, that's a claim a lot of people get at a lot of places.
Yeah, that's very common.
Yeah, because that's like the one I got at what was it, Madison Seminary. It was all the way down the hall, and it was a huge scream that you could hear through the whole hallway, the whole floor, basically.
Right. Okay, so here comes the question. What kind of thing would that be? I can probably answer this question. I'm sure you could probably answer this question too. But there is one person I would love to have answer that question over you and me. And you know who that would be, right?
Who?
Mr. Humphreys. I would like Mr. Humphreys to answer that question. So I wonder if Mr. Humphreys would be okay with coming back here with us and maybe answering that question. We can piggyback off of that too.
Yeah. See if he wants to.
She says, I believe it said you're smart. Wow. I'd answer that one.
Don't either.
But I'm gonna bring Robert Humphreys in to answer Millie's question about an EVP she heard over her shoulder from 15 feet away, and she wants to know what that was. So here is Mr. Humphreys. What's up, Robert?
What's going on?
Not much, man. So, you've been backstage. I'm sure you've been watching chat a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you're very familiar with the question we've just been asked. She also says it was like a playback in a different realm or live action voice. So
yeah, and in 27 years of experience of this field, I could probably give you the correct answer for that, and it was a residual response.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's just something that replays itself. It's energy that replays itself through time. Might not have been talking to you. It just was just something that replayed itself through the energy, and you were just there to hear it.
Yep. Yeah, it's something you get a lot.
Yeah, you get that a lot.
But unlike the scream that Andrew said he heard of at Madison Seminary, which was definitely intelligent.
Yeah. It was time we went in her room, basically.
So for those who don't really understand residualness as opposed to intelligent, can we real quick for a couple minutes touch on that and explain and describe what the difference is and how they can know the difference if they encounter it?
Oh yeah, residual is basically an imprint in time. It's just say, for instance, if this lady got up every morning and she got up, went to the coffee pot, put on a pot of coffee, went outside, smoked, come back in, drank a cup of coffee, read the newspaper, and she did this every day for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, however long she lived. It's just an imprint of energy that she's done it repeatedly over and over and over and over, and it's just an imprint of time. Whereas intelligent now, when you get on the intelligent side, it might not just repeat the same thing over and over again. You will start getting intelligent responses.
So before we get into that intelligent response there, Robert, why don't we go ahead and let's have a couple messages from our sponsors here, bro.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills. So absolutely. So we're going to be right back, and Mr. Humphreys is going to wrap up the explanation on an intelligent haunt for you guys, and we will be back in a few moments. What a lineup. Ghost Energy Drink, Parapost Network. We got the Parafam Studios, and we got something coming through.
You don't want to be you want to make sure you're paying attention come June.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure.
So, intelligent haunts there, Robert. So,
I guess the best way to simplify it is if you want to know the difference and you're investigating and you want to know yourself the difference. The biggest thing, number one, if it's a residual, it cannot communicate with you. You cannot communicate with it. It don't even know you're there. You see it, you hear it, it don't see you, it don't hear you. Versus when you get to an intelligent can see you, intelligent can hear you, it can interact with you, it can do things that a residual can't. And that's the best way I can describe for you to tell the difference.
absolutely. So, I hope that was able to answer the question. That's exactly how I understood the question to be, and that's exactly how I would have answered that question, Drew. It's just, Robert's got this really good way of putting things.
Yeah.
Back to the back cave.
All righty, man. Sounds good. We'll keep you in the background a little bit further. We have any more questions for you, we'll pop you in there. All right. Well, thank you, Robert. That was some pretty cool information there. So that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
There's different forms of hauntings. Intelligent, residual. That's just two of them. There's quite a few others out there, and of course that gets into some more in-depth explanation. But that's the most common you're going to come across is your residual and intelligent. Naturally, you're going to have more residual than you're going to have intelligent.
Yeah, for sure. So much history in a place, you're going to have residual that's going to play back different times of the day, month, year, whatever. Yeah.
That's a lot of what they get at a lot of the claims at the Gettysburg battlefield too. Cannons going off or gunfire going off, and that would be a residual haunt. It plays over and over and over and over, and so many people have experienced the same thing. Or you see like a spirit walking in one section, and then an hour later he walks past it again. An hour later he walks past. It's like a tape player playing.
Yeah, a lot of places with any kind of war or any kind of battles, you're going to have a lot of residual.
Correct. And Millie said, thank you, Robert. Robert's in the background. He can read it, and he's got a thumbs up. I can see that. So, all right, man. So we're gonna start leading into the wrap up on this. So Edinburgh Castle, right? We're gonna do a part 2 to Edinburgh Castle. Not next week. Next week is gonna be Castle Sween. That is our castle, Drew. That is the McInville, McMillan realm right there. That's our castle. So that we're going to kind of cover what that is, who occupied that castle, because naturally it wasn't just the McMillans. It was the Campbells. It was the McDonald's. Yes. Okay, I'm not playing a joke here. It was the McDonald's, and I'm not talking about the McDonald's hamburger. Okay, it was literally the McDonald's. So, and I could say that with a little bit of grunge because, technically we ain't supposed to get along with the McDonald's. Oh, well, it is what it is. But we're friends with the Campbells. That's okay, because I like Campbell soup.
And really the Campbells ties into Janet, too.
Yes. Yeah.
That's her second husband.
That was her second husband, correct. So I was going to try to leave that part out. Thank you very much. Yeah. Get along with the Big Mac, though. That's right. The Big Mac. Absolutely. Yeah. Drew knows what I'm talking about. All right. Enough of that. We ain't going to tell those bad jokes. So, yeah, man. So we're going to be covering Castle Sween, and we're going to do
a big episode.
Yeah, I think so, too, because I've got a lot of information on that as well. A lot of stuff going back. And there was quite a few battles at that place, too. Quite a few.
Probably most castles have had battles, so.
Well, yeah, when you talk about the years of independence of Scotland, and there was like several different battles that were going for the independence. Not just one; there were actual several of them that was happening. Over the course of many, many, many years. So, and unfortunately, Castle Swing got its butt whooped and left it in array that we see it today. So now it's just like a cored out, shell, and that's it. There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
So,
No roof or anything.
No, but the McMillan Tower still stands, which was turned into a latrine, believe it or not. It's what they use for the latrine. Imagine that. Okay, there goes those skeletons again. We didn't want to bring that out, did we? Imagine that. McInville being tied to a latrine tower. I'm not surprised, Drew. I'm not surprised. All right, Drew, you had to hit the button on me, didn't you? All right, man, we're going to kind of wrap this up. We're going to go through some stuff. Look, the Charlotte Foundation, keep your eyes peeled for that. We're trying to help this little girl out, achieve her goals. And we're going to try to push out her legacy, and I hope she can pull through to see it happen. If not, we're going to make it happen for her either way. So be looking for that and help us help her out, because that's really what it's boiling down to. PD Region Paranormal, they're definitely on board with it. Global United Paranormal Foundation is on board with it, and partnering together, we're going to make it happen. So be watching for that. And don't forget to send your prayers out her way, because she's really needing them. Her family's needing them, and I know her dad, Cassidy, he really needs them. He's having a hard time naturally. So they could just really use the prayers right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think about Castle Swing there? And you got some kind of insights for us? Do you know anything about it right now, or maybe a couple bullet points we can touch on for a minute and kind of give the spice out there and kind of ravel up the feathers a little bit?
Well, I know Castle Swing was a place that was basically changed hands many, many times. I mean, there was a lot of battles between English and Scottish, basically trying to take over. And the first major battle was like the late 13th century. You had Edward I of England, who basically took it over in 1296. Mm-hmm. That was the first time it was captured from anybody else other than Scots. And then,
so I would say that all those battles between the English and the Scottish, it maybe it was worth it, because today they're all friends now.
Yeah.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But Andy Balcom says, "What's up, fellas?"
What's up, Andy?
That's Mr. Paratech right there. See, I remember Mr. Paratech. That's Mr. Paratech at his best right there. So, all right, man. So I think we're going to go and wrap this up. I'm going to play that video again for Shar one more time before we get out of here. But next week is definitely going to be Castle Swing, and we are going to be putting together that part 2 for Edinburgh Castle, and we're going to dive into some really serious stuff. So we're going to go into a lot more deep history of Edinburgh Castle, some of the battles that took place there, some of the haunts that are happening and why that is. And we're really hoping by then, and I think we can make it happen. I really hope we can get some of that evidence to show on this podcast for that particular episode. What do you think?
For sure. That'd be good.
So that being said, I'm going to play Shar's video, and I'm going to go right into the outro. And everybody, we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us. And again, as the commercials were indicating, sign up for Parapost Network. It's an excellent platform. No drama. Sign up for it. It's free to sign up. No cost to you. And check out Ghost Energy Drink. Upcoming new, Parafam Studios. Parafam Studios just launched 2 days ago, and they can put together intros for your podcast, some outros, commercials for you, thumbnails, develop logos. Let me tell you, Robert Humphreys he's turning out to be the logo king, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
He's coming to be that logo king because he is doing some nasty good stuff over there. So, all right, that being said, I'm going to go into our videos, and bro, I'll see you next week. How about that?
For sure. Ready
All
for
right,
it.
man. Here we go.